Okay, welcome to class. You got narrative reality, and then you have numerical reality. Narrative reality is your lower self. Numerical reality is your higher self. Narrative reality is the lowercase. Okay. So we got lowercase, and then we got uppercase. Then up here we have Hebrew, which is frequency language, and then we have numbers, right? So we have hollow phrase, and what we have is numbers. So here we have the lowercase, the uppercase, the hollow phrase, and the numbers. These are the 4 different types of glyphs you have in your language. They didn't teach you this. Because if they teach you this, then you activate your actual body. These, we can keep you into the narrative, and if we misintroduce you to the numbers, right, then you'll be controlled by the narrative. The thing that happens with the numbers is that you guys believe in 0, which in its own discussion is a fallacy. So it's a representation, it's something that represents nothing, which means you don't need to include it in a mathematical situation. It's a space bar. 0 is just a space bar. The same way when you go to your letters, right, when you look on the keyboard, you have a space bar. So you don't need to include it into the calculation. Now, because we've been doing it for the last like 200, 300 years or whatever, most people are going to cling to their sunken cost fallacy. But there's a couple of mathematical systems that don't use 0, and you can do a lot of things with them that you can't do with 0-based number systems. Most people, as they come up with their logic in life, are only going to use this. This is what you feel about your situation and how you describe it. This is the consensus that everybody else feels, right? Of course, there's an in-between, but this is what the corporate world says, the theys, the society, sometimes your parents, what gets written down on paper as like law in the legal system, capital letters, right? And this is the problem with the capital system. We believe the capital system has to do with like capital in terms of money or whatever, but no, it has to do with the fact that you're being capitalized. Your ignorance is being capitalized on. So at the beginning, you don't even know that the capital letter system is a whole different language. You don't even know that. And so your energy gets capitalized by that. You're over here describing your situation as, I feel this way, I'm trying to do it for my kids, I got a son to feed, I want a car, like all of that stuff. That's down here. Then the structure of the rule book is what happens here. You combine these two to try to get up here, which is the money. So you create a narrative in your head in the lowercase, which is internal, so that it interacts with this up here, right? The rules, the laws, the things that actually, if you read them all, will help you, but most people don't read. So they only look at a couple of these to try to get a couple of these, right? And the whole time they're skipping this. This right here is all 3 of these together. So when you study like quantum physics, these are the superpositions. In the human body, they would be the equivalent of having super senses, right? So extrasensory perception, or some of the other things that you may loosely call like superpowers and whatnot, or the perceptions of the animals, happen when you can perceive like this. And certain places in the world teach you how to do that. If you go to Israel, they'll have this in the public. And if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. But each of these are telling you how to focus. And when you can focus your attention a certain way, then you can create the full picture, dive in energetically, and then move a little bit different than if you just focus here on the way you explain things in the lowercase, the way things are presented to you in the uppercase, and their quote unquote result. Now, of course, if you're like an accountant, you operate over here first, and the numbers then tell you the story, which may dictate this, right? And if you're a business person, then you're going by the capital, right? Again, probably to dictate a story to produce this. Or if you're nice, you can go the other way, and you can take the principle of the law as it's written down in the capital form, right? Bounce it off of your accounting, and then produce produce an image on the lower, or produce a narrative in the lowercase form, right? But again, remember, these are your lower vibrations. So when people talk about operating in your lower self, it has to do with the narrative. And a lot of people say words and they don't know what they mean. So they'll say things like, I know that, but I didn't do it. You didn't know it. All you know how to do is describe it. This is where knowledge exists. Knowledge exists up here in the realm of frequency and number, because it can be proved. That's why. So knowledge is up here. Belief is down here. So people believe in themselves, but you should never believe in yourself. You should have knowledge of what you can and can't do and know that you can accomplish a goal. You shouldn't believe in yourself, because that's shaky. Up here is where the knowledge is. First, you understand the lessons that the numbers give you, and when you can understand them fully, then you can start applying them in different bursts and different modes. Or if you're a musical person, you play the different chords within your perception, and then that produces the result here, right? That's the way the body was originally made. It was made to control your frequencies and then create a narrative after the control of your frequencies. But we flipped that and gone to a patriarchal mode of attempting to control everything from the narrative and then ignoring frequency input and then numerical expression. So I'm gonna keep building on this. We're gonna talk about what these are, and then we really gotta talk about what these are first. So we'll talk about the higher mind and then how to balance it with the lower mind, and then we'll go from there. Peace, love, and I'll see y'all later.